Good morning, all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon for us here in Europe, Stelios, indeed. So, today we have the pleasure of having Gregor with us. I told him to join in 10 minutes so we can do the bias chart first and then interrogate him.
Excellent.
Okay, so let me open the bias chart in front of me. There we go. Perfect. And let's start. So. No breakout yesterday. We flirted with the idea, traded like a few pips, literally a few pips below the previous low. But in my opinion, that's definitely not enough to make this a breakdown. So I'm going to keep the same support resistance areas for the time being for the euro, since we had no breakdown, which is 117.85 and 118.83. What is it? Let me see. Yeah, 85, whatever. For the euro, and I'm going to keep it in range, having to do with the Swissy. Now, I guess we can redraw this. There we go. So, support for the Swiss 91.45. Give it a little bit of a leeway as well. 0.9145. Yeah, and resistance, what can be even a short term like little double top at 0.92. I'm going to have to keep this in range as well. The cable flirting with this wedge trend line resistance once again today. Let's redraw this. Okay, these are the two alternatives from where we are. Perfect. Okay, so resistance, let's say 139. 139. Support, soft support within the wedge is this low at 138. Okay, nice round numbers in this case. And guess what? I'm going to have to leave this in range as well. Aussie and Kiwi. Here's the Aussie. Very similar situation in the short term with the cable, like some kind of a descending wedge here. Trend line resistance currently passing from 75.25, so 0.7525, and support 74.30 within the wedge. Before we reach the wedges trend line support, we have this previous lows here, so this one. Kiwi still confined in a rectangle, with support clearly being 69.25. 69.25. Resistance being at 71 cents. Let's go to USD CAD. There we go. Here's the USD CAD. still holding above the broken triangle trend line resistance, but on the other hand, still failing to accelerate higher, right? So I'm going to have to leave this as bullish, although reluctantly, but still. And support at 124.15. Resistance being this prior high at 125.40. And let's switch to USD NOK, which has the exact same type of formation. Resistance being at 881. Support being at 865. And again, very reluctantly putting this to bullish USD MXN. Still within this ascending channel, definitely no impulsive characteristics. Resistance currently passing from 2015. Support from 1977, 1978, whatever, I mean. And definitely leaving this to range. Next one. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. Gold is breaking higher through this flat top triangle, which opens more upside for the time being, with the next upside target being the 50% fib at 1834, roughly, although, yeah, whatever, volatility is not that high. Let's use the closest level for the time being, 1844. And support undeniably being this previous horizontal resistance area at 1816. And I will have to switch this to bullish in the short term, right? Which I cannot do for silver because silver is still coiling within this rectangle. Yes, we are approaching resistance once again. We can even redefine resistance a little bit if we want to be, more. There you go. We can use that one. Okay, so resistance, let's say 2670 to give it a little bit more space, and 2590 within the range. I know it is within the range, but it's the closest support. I'm going to put that one instead of the ranges trend line support, which is at 2550. Obviously, that's the more important level, but the other one is closer. Bitcoin. No change here, right? 30K being key support, and closest resistance 35K roughly. Now let's, and I'm going to have to leave that to range as well as silver for reasons I already explained. And here is the DXY, right? Now, I'm not sure if I want to put this as bullish or range. Yes, we are still in a series of higher lows, but in what looks to me more of a consolidation that has a very decent chance of failing. So I'm really torn between putting it to range or bullish with extreme skepticism about using that. I'm going to leave it to range for now, with resistance being at 92.85 and support being at 92. Last but not least from the currencies is the USD yen, which seems to be failing through this little ascending wedge, with the closest support area being at 109.95. We might break through this shortly, and 110.70, this recent high being resistance from this point on. And last but not least, before we get Grega, support for the S&P in the very short term, this recent low from this tiny pullback we got at 43.60. Of course, the bias here has to be bullish. There's no alternative to it. And resistance being the previous high at 43.94, which is very close. I'm going to use the 161.8% extension at 44.10 actually as a more important resistance, which is in any case close enough, right? So that concludes the bias chart. A lot of divergence.
Let us see it, please,
of course,
so I can take
a. I will.
Unless it's a secret, it's classified. You could tell me, but then you have to kill me.
It is classified. I will show you, and then I'll have to kill you. Yes.
Okay, hold on. I got it. Thank you. I don't see Gregor though yet, but I'm sure he's going to be
He
there.
should be any minute.
Okay, I told him
to join in 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes ago. I told him, because he asked me when to join, I told him in 10 minutes. So he should be here any moment. So you got it, Celio. I can delete it, right?
Yes, I am just uploading it now.
Perfect. So let me open the chat box. Let me open the Q&A. Perfect. Let me also open the participant list in case he.
Interesting how metals took a day to realize that hey, inflation is here, metals are an inflation hedge.
In any case, Stelio, it is a positive development, the fact alone that metals didn't, people that trade the metals didn't fall into the naive pitfall of thinking that they should be selling their metals because inflation is going higher, right? So yeah, at least that's something. That's some kind of a move towards maturity.
That's been the knee-jerk reaction for a while now, right? High inflation. Oh my God, we need to buy the dollar and sell metals.
Yeah, as I said yesterday, I've started seeing some subtle signs that some market participants are starting to get the message. You know what I mean? Are starting to realize, to get a glimpse of reality. Okay, Greg just messaged me that he's coming on. So yeah, at least this is a move in the right direction, having to do with market participants' mentality, right? But CPI and PPI data are just, out of this world. Especially.
By the way, worth mentioning, we didn't mention it on. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Celio. Go ahead.
Sorry, my internet here is not very good. I was going to say we didn't mention it on Facebook. We got CPI of UK 2.5% year on year.
Yeah,
so that's climbing higher as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you know what's the next
step.
Greg
is here.
Yeah, you know what's the next step more likely, right? Let's see if the
hey guys.
Hey mate. Let's see if the BOE is going to be equally surrendering as much as the ECB did to the idea of higher inflation. Because you remember a few days ago, Lagarde in essence came out and once again changed the CPI target, right? So
yeah, I went to symmetrical and no.
Yes. I remind you that all the central banks that have gone to this have passed from inflation should be very low to inflation should be below 2% to inflation should be below but close to 2%, now to inflation being targeted at 2% and it's okay if we exceeded somewhat. So the more they get pressured and in essence they prove that they are unable to do something about it because they don't want to destroy the pretense of an economic recovery, the more they just keep shifting the goalposts having to do with what is acceptable inflation, right? So let's see if the BOE is going to go through the same process.
Let's see. Yes.
Gregor,
Yes.
shed light to the recent market moves and tell us if you think that the dollar is topping here, because it starts looking to me like the dollar is about to roll over and die.
Yeah. I also think that, like we already discussed, did we last week or it was 2 weeks back?
Yeah,
So yeah, we
last week.
talked that we are both seeing these moves, the big retracements on commodity currencies in particular. We are seeing them as a corrective. So I think that commodities in general will again pick up. We are seeing some very nice consolidations right now. So if we respect the trend that is in force for the last year and a half, I just think that those pullbacks are quite interesting to join these trends. I mean, I really like dollar against the Mexican peso right now. What I'm seeing here is in ourselves a very nice potential triangle here. Okay, so it's an ABCDE pattern, and now it looks like it's in the final stages. Now there is also another interpretation where this drop here that I labeled as a wave D can
Was
also
a
be
wave
seen as
one.
an impulse, yes, as a wave one, because it was a very sharp one. And this gives me even more confidence about the bearish outlook, because you know that impulses shows us the direction. And we know that Mexican peso has seen a rally because of higher interest rates. I think it was what 3 weeks back. So I think that this could be quite attractive for investors, especially maybe if maybe we do not hear about tapering today. I just think that we also should consider that we have some very nice pullback on corn, which I'm tracking quite closely when looking at dollar Mexican peso. And here we have seen very nice pullback as well. Do you see charts?
Yes, absolutely,
Of
mate.
corn, yeah. Okay, so here we have a very nice pullback for wave 4. Looks like an overlapping 7 swing move back to the area of a former wave 4. So almost like a textbook formation that can cause more upside. So overall, I just think that commodities will again see some recovery, and this could be very interesting for commodity currencies, especially Mexican peso. So I really love the idea here as well that this triangle can be coming to an end. And since I mentioned,
just to give you how much I agree with you, an idea. We had the conversation like a week ago. Like, people were looking to buy some dollar pairs, like, for a like continuation of the dollar rebound. And, somebody was asking me about the USD MXN. And, the first thing I told them is that look at the USD MXN. I mean, the USD seems to be the weakest against the MXN almost in comparison to everything.
Yeah,
so, why would you look to buy the USD MXN? I mean, at least if you want to be bullish the dollar,
because
that
it's
would
the
be
cheapest.
my last choice, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, we reverse that. If you're looking to sell the dollar, USD MXN looks one of the best.
Yeah, because it's the cheapest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plus, there is a decent positive carry.
Yeah.
If you're long the MXN against the dollar. So add that to the equation.
Yeah. So and also if we look now, maybe Aussie dollar, here we have very nice free wave setback. We discussed and highlighted this potential support here around 0.74. It's the former swing high here back from August. Actually, that, if I'm not mistaken, that was the same timing when actually gold also made a top here back in August. And we are now seeing a very nice pullback into this area for 23.6% against the previous rise from March of last year lows. But more importantly, you have wave C equals to wave A. So if that's a correction, that's the
And
area
likely a
where we
little
should see a rally.
descending wedge right at that
Yes.
end, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm tracking two wave counts. Let me show you one. The first one is that this was maybe end of a, I should adjust the wave count a little bit here. Let's say that here was end of a wave 5. If we rally today into the close after the US session, then I think that maybe wave 5 is already done. But as you said, wedge is also one scenario, and I have prepared another wave count here where this wedge could make maybe another
One
touch of
last
the
low.
lows and then a reversal. But overall, I just think it kind of can be quite tricky trying to catch a bottom here.
Yeah.
We just have to respect the higher degree structures and support, so we can move up
Yeah.
or down until we just stabilize in a week.
But in any case, in most of the assets I'm tracking, it feels like that we've either seen a bottom or we're getting really close to one, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at copper, for example. So we both know that copper and Aussie have a very strong correlation.
Mm-hmm. They
And
do.
looks like that this one has made a very nice bounce and is holding this support quite well from end of June. And while the Aussie is still trading close to the lows. So if this one can break higher through this trend line resistance, then I think that sooner or later Aussie will be pulled higher as well. Then we have Hang Seng Index, also very important for Aussie. Notice that drop is clearly in three waves.
Mm-hmm.
And so far the wave count is still valid to look at this to
Mm-hmm.
be a wave 4
And
because
a
we
nice
have,
vertical recovery so far, eh?
yeah, very nice. So I think that if this one will keep improving in days sessions ahead, I think that Aussie will also have a quite good run or turn to the upside, in my opinion. Now let's take a look on New Zealand dollar. Now this one, as you know, was one of the strongest today after
Mm-hmm.
their new
After a
policy
change of
remarks.
stance in monetary policy, yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that it was a question of time when this one will pick up. I think that COVID situation is one of the best in New Zealand. And looking then technically, we have also a very nice picture here. An ABC movement. Of course, the ideal support is a little bit lower here, but overall, I just think that sooner or later we will see higher prices. What I love so far from today's price action that I can count 5 waves up from that recent spike low. I think that
Mm-hmm.
this was yesterday after the US CPI figures. So we now have 5 waves up, meaning that trend looks like to be headed higher. And if today after Powell we see maybe dollar moving even lower against the others, I think that Kiwi will be much higher.
At a very simplistic approach on the daily chart, if you look at the Kiwi, you can even note this recent consolidation as a rectangle, because we have like something like a little triple bottom.
Yeah, it was not the decisive break lower, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah,
I see it.
So yeah, that's also
this one haven't seen any deep push to the downside like Aussie dollar, for example, because it was acting much stronger. So that's the reason. But
I talked about that the day before yesterday, showing this divergence between the Aussie and the Kiwi, and saying that sometimes these type of divergences, very highly correlated markets like the Aussie and the Kiwi, one of them producing a lower low and the other one not, can also be a nice indication that we're very near a turn.
Yeah. of course, if this one will keep moving higher, Aussie will sooner or later follow, in my opinion.
What about gold? I was expecting a lower, one more low in gold.
Actually,
But I've started, quote unquote, getting worried. I'm of course I'm saying that in a laughing, manner, since my
since you are
bias.
bullish.
Yes, my bias has always been medium to long term bullish, unquestionably. I was hoping for one more low, but it looks to me like we might have seen the low. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm still actually looking for two wave counts. First, let's go to the weekly chart just to give a quick recap here. So we have seen a very nice retracement here and retest this spike from March of last year, where we found a very nice support of a wave 4, not at the end of a former wave 4, but rather starting point, which is very common when you have fifth wave very strong and extended, like in our case. So that's a still very valid structure. More importantly, we have seen this drop on a daily chart, the first lag here, very complex one, definitely not an impulse. So it's a correction. Now the only question is if it's part of a deep correction that can take us maybe towards 1600, or is this going to be a triangle? And so far I'm still favoring a triangle, and the first reason why is because we are holding
Trend
this
line.
2009 trend line support. Yes.
Mm.
And I was turning bullish on gold recently for the last 2 weeks because this rise from end of June has been unfolding in impulsive fashion. If we look at the 1 hour time frame chart, so this structure to me appeared to be like an impulse, while the following drop was made
Corrective.
only by 3 waves. Yes, so that's was I was looking higher, but still, I mean, this could be even wave 4 if we do not overlap 1857, right? So we still have to be quite careful here. I mean, definitely, even if we are here in a triangle, even triangle is not completed yet. Not to mention if this trend line is
Yes.
going to be broken. So now it's quite important time. Let's say next 24 hours could be really decisive here for this market, if it's triangle or maybe deep ABC drop. But for a triangle, what I would love to see is an overlap with 1857. Then this slack from May highs to June lows would be seen as a free wave movement, as a wave C that could be fitting to a triangle. Okay, but overall, I mean, this can sound very complex for some that who are not familiar with the Elliott waves theory, but for now, looks like that we are just trading in the middle of the range of consolidations, but sooner or later we could see again gold turning higher, maybe after summer.
Silver still looks somewhat weaker than gold.
Yeah.
I mean, silver still looks to me likely to produce a lower low. I mean, if I didn't have gold that starts looking like it might not produce a lower low, and I only had silver to look at, I would be quite certain we're going to see a lower low.
Yeah.
What do you think about this divergence?
Yes, silver appears to be also very slow here. So, as you said, I mean, we could see another retest of the lows, especially if maybe gold makes just temporary pullback. Okay, so maybe it's time to look again at the daily chart and just remind ourselves if we see a drop where we could be.
Oh yeah, the big picture is a big symmetrical triangle. There's no question about it. I believe we're breaking higher.
What I'm referring to is this trend line. So if we see a drop, then this trend line is what we should be watching next for potential support. So again, very hard to say where this whole triangle will complete, since you have this 1 year or 12-month consolidation. So just you have to look at the market more simple and just seeing this as a correction on the way up, not trying to pick a tick here.
Do you think the DXY is producing an ascending wedge as we speak? Because that's how it looks to me.
I mean,
that one, yeah, that one,
yeah,
that one.
I was looking for this as well here. But then this recent reversal higher quite confused me a little bit because
Yeah, but I mean, if you
it's
extend the
still a
trend line
valid trade.
resistance, it is
Yeah,
still valid, isn't it?
yes, it's still valid. I just think that sooner or later, again, we will turn down from resistance. Maybe if we are going to see a fifth wave, could retest slightly higher levels. There is still very strong resistance here back from end of March, start of April. But overall, this should not impact the big picture. I mean, still, I'm looking for this to be flat in a wave 4. And just sooner or later, I assume that we could turn down. Keep in mind that we are also in the middle of this pivot of a former wave 4. So looks like a potential perfect resistance actually for this market to resume lower. I mean, we have to consider also the euro dollar. Notice that dollar index did not make a new high here, rather the double top, while euro
For the time
dollar,
being, yeah.
yes, euro dollar was much lower here. So maybe this was already a fifth wave.
Do you think that the euro USD might be in a symmetrical triangle? I mean, on the daily, open the daily,
Yeah.
and
Yes, I mean, you have
the trend line support. To give you an idea, I started from the 28th of September of 2020, from your wave 4, the end of wave 4.
You mean like that?
Yeah. Have you considered that possibility?
No, not really, but looks like a very laggy. This could be a wave 3 here, and you're now ending wave 4. Yes, I mean, in either case, this appears to be a very nice level. You have also the support line connected from
Oh yeah,
20 lows.
good eye. I hadn't seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like a quite interesting point here.
Yeah, nice confluence of supports over there.
Exactly, but still, even if euro dollar is going to rally, my focus would remain probably on commodity currencies versus the US dollar.
I agree with you, especially as long as we remain in a risk-on environment. There is absolutely no reason why somebody would want to be long the euro in comparison to being long the Aussie, or being long the Kiwi, being long the MXN, or several alternatives, right?
Yeah, exactly. Here's also crude oil.
Yeah, that's good, because I was about to mention this. I've started getting a little bit. I mean, I think we're still in some kind of a corrective move, which is probably going to prove to be another shallow corrective move. I started considering the day before yesterday the possibility of a little triangle building here. What do you think?
Triangle, you mean here on?
Yeah, a possibility. It's still very early.
Yeah, it's still very early. I mean, even this bounce, if you look here on the 1 hour chart here.
Yeah, it's corrective.
Yes, it does not convince me at all. Actually, it's much sharper sell-off in my opinion. So looking this to be maybe a wave B as part of a wave 4, it could be even an irregular correction if we retest the highs here and then we sell off. But the drop, as let's say, a very sharp one below 72.57 would probably trigger a weakness towards 69.40, and then you have this former wave 4, okay, and it could be current wave 4 looking to complete the pullback. Keep in mind that this trend line right around 69.40 is also a trend line here connected from April of last year. So again, as long as we are trading above this trend line, we have to respect that there can be more upside. But as I said, ideally after another drop to complete intermediate wave 4 here. But overall, we just have to consider that as we approach end of the summer, we could be also approaching then maybe in September, potential top for a fifth wave here. You are in a final leg of this first 5-wave advance.
Yeah, this amazing bull trend.
Yeah.
It has been massive.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, we need some consolidation, maybe something similar like this one has been here. Very strong sell-off, and then we just went sideways for how long? For a year or so. And again, I mean, something like that would be very healthy for this market.
Yeah, the bulk of the easy money has already been made to the upside. I'm pretty sure about that for the time being.
Yeah, exactly. Agree.
Okay, nice. Anything else you have in mind before we see if people have any questions for you?
No, actually, that's it.
I assume no change in your view in cryptocurrencies. They both, I mean, the major ones, they both seem to me like they're still in some kind of a consolidation, which I favor being resolved to the downside. What do you think? Has
Yes.
anything changed in your viewpoint for
I'm
Bitcoin and
looking
Ethereum?
this to be maybe even a triangle here for a wave 4. So we are running out of time.
Yeah,
So I think that sooner or later we'll see a breakout, ideally to the
yeah,
downside,
same here.
wave 5.
Ethereum looks weaker also. I mean, it might lead the way, who knows?
Let me check. Yes, even here, looking for a triangle. Or if we rally suddenly, let's say above 2,500, then it could be even a deep wave B, but still part of a correction. Overall, adjusting that this was a first 5-wave drop that shows us in which direction we should look for.
And there's more pain to come. Yeah.
There would be a lot of buyers probably coming in if we see 3,000, but that's when we should be even more careful here.
Yeah. Okay, guys, girls. Hello, Irina, by the way. I just saw your message. Questions for Grega? Any market you want him to have a look at? Question about the IWM. Yeah, actually, Grega, that's my omission. We should have had a look at the S&P and tell me what you think. I think the S&P, as with the crude oil market, I think it's in a very mature stage of this move higher. So I don't think it has much more to run before we see some kind of a corrective move. But since Amira mentioned the IWM seems to be in some kind of a triangle consolidation or whatever. So it's lagging, but on the other hand, doesn't look bearish. So what do you think about those two markets?
Just a second. So here we have the S&P 500. Still, I mean, we are very strong, very impulsive here.
Yeah,
I believe
undeniably.
we are in a wave 5 of 3, but still, I mean, there can be, as you know yourself, extensions to the upside. But on the short-term charts, I'm tracking this lag from 4140 that could come to an end right now at resistance. Even if I adjust the wave count and say, let me just grab that this was actually this is now actually wave 5, right? When looking at the black labels, you again would anticipate potential slowdown here. So just be careful up there.
Yeah, chasing up here doesn't
Yes,
make sense.
but on the other hand, we have to respect that S&P 500
Yes,
is just the strongest. But when
it is.
looking at Nikkei, for example, looks like here it's trying to build a triangle. So this is very bullish. Now,
Same with the IWM. The IWM seems like it's in a multi-month triangle as well.
let me check here. Yes, of course it is. This triangle, right?
Yeah.
Let me just try to zoom this.
With obvious bullish implications.
I'm just looking if this could be maybe even running triangle.
Yeah, might be.
If that's a running triangle, then obviously we are going to complete it.
Soon. Very soon.
Yes. Looks very good. confirmation level, of course, is the broken wave D level, but overall, I just think even if we just will chopping around, I think that those supports here from above 2000 should hold actually. Anything else?
Yes, there is a request from Irina. If you can have a look at KGC. It's a stock. KGC. It's a gold miner, obviously.
Is it correct ticker? You're not.
I'm assuming that's the one, yeah. Yeah, it is. She says it is. And this little recent consolidation looks like it might break in the short term to the downside, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Looks like a ongoing bearish impulse here for a wave C.
Yeah. Short-term bearish, long-term bullish.
Exactly. Looks actually a very nice pattern here.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Clearly impulsive move higher, clearly corrective move lower.
You also have a very strong support here.
There, yeah.
Okay, so yes, ongoing consolidation still with room for more weakness. We just retested those lows for March. So looks like a wave 4 as you said yourself, and maybe a final move down here to complete this drop.
Speaking of which, Irina didn't ask for it, but let's have a look at the bigger picture. Let's have a look at the GDX. I showed them the GDX yesterday. I think it's also getting very close to bottoming. Let's see what you think about it.
Here we clearly had
we did
a very nice bounce. Then drop was quite overlapping. This one is looking quite deep, so we have to be a little bit more open-minded here. Let's say that gold maybe breaks that trend line, 2019 line that we showed earlier.
3150, by the way, if you zoom out in the chart, you'll notice that 3150, the area around 3150 is like a super strong support resistance area.
Yes, this one here.
Yeah.
Around
even
there.
If you zoom further out, you see?
Yeah.
You see, even if you go even further back in time.
Yes.
There, yeah.
And this first drop was very overlapping. That's probably the most important indication for me why we should stay on the bullish side here. But even a retest of the lows of 31 here would not invalidate the big picture.
Okay, Gregor, thank you very, very much for sharing your wisdom with us once again.
Yeah, thank you, man.
We're looking forward to having you next week again.
Yeah, sure. I will be there.
Okay, everybody, have a wonderful next few hours, and I'll see you for the daily roundup in 2.5 hours. By the way, Blake is joining us back in, tonight, actually. So you'll get to hear from him again starting tomorrow morning. Okay, see you in 2.5 hours. Thank you, Gregor.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.